All right, welcome to LaChance Encounters. I'm your host, Alex LaChance. I am here today with Jason Bonilla, currently running for Alderman, Ward 5 in Manchester, and serving on the school board in Manchester. Thanks for coming in, man. I just told you before we started that I did no homework on you. I did scroll your social media pretty quickly. And the thing I like about you right off the bat, because I lived in Manchester for 10 years, and I would go to vote for these local positions, these, alderman, school board, there's some other city positions. And I'd be like, you get the sample ballot off the city website. And I go, who are these people? And you start Googling. They don't exist. They're just enigmas. You've got yourself video from you talking at school board meetings in multiple languages, so you can access more of Manchester's people. You can show more people who you are. You're really out there showing people who you are, what you believe in. You're not hiding. I almost think with a lot of these local politicians, because these incumbents stay around forever, I think it's by design that they have no presence. Because if they have no presence, you go to the ballot, you're like, okay, I've seen this name, and you vote for them.
Right.
Are you seeing that? Is that kind of your calculation to be opposite of that by being out there and showing who you are?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you for having me.
Hey,
I'm hyped. I'm hyped to be here. For me, you got to be out there, right? So building a name for myself, I didn't grow up in Manchester. So, when you're not from here, you got to work really hard to ensure that you're proximate, that you care, that you really care, and that you're there to build authentic, relationships, right? Building those with the community members. So being proximate with everybody. And like you said, leveraging the superpowers I got. I speak 2 languages. So let me just utilize that to bring all of us together, regardless of party affiliation, right? Because at the end of the day, we want to know what's going on. If I own a home, if I own a business, if my kids go to the public schools, how do I get that support? How do I get that level of information?
I think all the way up to the city, the top of the city. I mean, mayor is where I start to deviate from this. But most city government positions aren't that same thing with the party lines. It's not this national, Republican National Convention, Democratic National Convention. You're not finding, people and we do see it, right? We do see people starting from those positions and being ushered all the way up to the top positions. But for the most part, I think most people who work in city and local government, at least on some level, are just there because they want to help their own community. Yeah. There's certainly self-serving interests, and there's certainly people that take advantage of the system from those positions, but it's not in the same way where it's this big, huge, massive machine like the big national parties.
Right.
So I was Nick was telling me about a governor candidate that he knows before this podcast. Producer Nick, I haven't mentioned him here. I'm just making up a random person if you're only listening to this episode. But I was like, I don't want to go any higher than city politics, because then it gets into just things that I'm not into. I just, I left the top line of my ballot on this last national election blank. I mean, I don't support any of it at this point. But going across party lines, making things happen, I think is still one of those things that's very possible.
It is
at the local level. So I work as a real estate agent full time. And you're currently serving on the school board. And one of the big things that people come to me with is we need to move into a good school district. And I'll tell you, Manchester's not one that they usually name. And I actually moved out of Manchester myself. I mean, there were multiple reasons, but school district was one of them as my kid was going into kindergarten. And the thing is, I have that thought, but as I was thinking about this episode, I realized I don't know why. I don't really know anything about the Manchester schools. I know what numbers pop up on these rating sites and whatnot, but I don't know why I wanted to get. I couldn't articulate it.
Yeah.
What are you seeing in the Manchester school system? What are the things that you think that people have that perception of the school system? Are they correct? And, what direction are we heading with it? Is it getting better, worse? What are you seeing, and what needs to happen? What is happening?
Yeah. I mean, there's that perception, right? You hear about it from past. I think it's tough to really build a school district when you don't have a consistent leader. So bringing in Dr. Camille, right? She's been here for since the last time I can remember that I was on, right? So like we got her in. She's been there for almost 4 years. So you need consistent.
And what's her position?
She's a superintendent of schools. So imagine you didn't have a superintendent of schools for, you know, every 2 years you're looking for a new one. It's like rechanging systems. I mean, again, going back, we've heard it. For me, the reality is that we've invested so much money into our schools. We've built the first ever dual language immersion program in the state of New Hampshire, giving the opportunity for all of our kids, all of our families to learn.
And what's sad is there's people out there that would actually see that as a negative, right? There's people who push back and go, why are we doing that? You know, Americans, and it's so stupid.
Right.
We always have been, but I know people will push back on that, right? You know, it's sad, but
I feel like, you know, imagine, you know, being able to give your children the opportunity to learn another language.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love it. I wish.
Economic.
I did with my daughter already. Yeah.
Right. Like it support them in finding jobs, connecting to different communities. Again, right, we want to bridge our communities together and never forgetting about where Manchester comes from too, right? So we're
an immigrant community for sure. Yeah.
Oh, John Clayton will say that, our historian in Manchester. So shout out to John. You know, he's always bringing the facts.
If you go on this very YouTube channel where this podcast is put, you will find John Clayton and giving me a tour of the Manchester Military Museum a few years back.
Yeah. So I've appreciated being on panels with him and, you know, even bringing up the French program, right? So we're investing into the French dual language immersion program, right? So we're heavily doing that. I mean, we talk about class sizes. Yes, it's tough for a teacher, one teacher, right, to support a classroom maybe of 30 students. Yes, we've heard that. We've heard that in the past.
Is that what the average is?
A long time ago, we would hear those stories, but now it's like we're averaging 20, 21, 22, right? Like we focus, and like that's a lot of the work from like Sean Parr, the school board member, right? Like he really pushed for this. He represents Ward 2, trying to ensure that we have small classroom sizes so that we have, you know, that attention to our students. When we talk about access to higher level learning, we've created that, right? So like we've offered that opportunity for our students to have access to higher level courses.
We're talking about like AP course, more of that type of
thing. Because like, again, regardless, you know, we always talk about all of our kids. You know, they all should have a shot, right? Like, are we just focusing on those who get it from the jump, or like, are we going to put some time and focus on like those who like have it, but they're struggling a little bit? So how do we provide them with that level of support so that they can get there? Because we want all of our kids to have those opportunities, right? Not just the ones that, you know, you see like, oh, they're going somewhere, but like all of them. When we talk about
everybody could go somewhere.
Yeah, everybody.
Have the right support for them.
Exactly.
And everybody's different. You know,
right.
Kids are unique.
Kids are unique, and they all have different learning styles, right? So like certain people are like, remember, I think if you can go back to, you know, what it was like for you, right? For me, a teacher would be going on, right, talking about something, and I'm like, I don't get it, because I'm like, I needed that visual aspect, right? And I was like, I would get so anxious, man. I'd get anxious. I'm like, I suck. I'm stupid. I'm gonna fail this. Like, I remember what that was like.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And that's
no kid should have to feel like that.
No. And like, and then you isolate yourself, and then you self-sabotage on purpose, right? Like you feel like, and then you feel bad that you're holding the class back. You remember that? Like, I remember like having a question. I'm like, I don't know what to do. What do I do?
I hate to say that I did not experience that. I was always, I was a very good student.
Oh, that's what's up, bro.
But like, it didn't, once I got to high school, the problem was it was all so easy. I used to be the kid that was mad at you for holding the class back, right? And I do remember that. And I wouldn't have been mean about it.
Yeah.
But I even to this day, I go to my real estate continuing ed classes, and I sit there, and people are asking questions. I'm like, oh, come on. Do you even work in this business?
Yeah.
You know, I learn easy. I don't apply it real well. That's my thing. I can understand concepts, but I'm not good at applying them. But it's like here in the Home Choice Lending office, the owner, Brian, like he'll show me things, but he's always come sit with me, and I watch him do it. I can never do it. I can never repeat what he does. The other day, one of our newer guys, a loan officer here, Cam, sent a video out about some process that was new that we were working on. And the way he taught it in the video, I'm like, this is my exact learning style. I want to learn from the newest guy in the company more than I want to learn loans, you know? And yeah, it just, sorry, I just come off, but no, on your whole point there. But Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's got to be a terrible feeling for a kid to feel, like they're holding everybody back for sure. Yeah.
So we're providing professional development, catered professional development to our educators so that they can meet our kids where they're at, right? Like, again, you know, whether they want to go to a 4-year school, whether they want to go to the trades, whether they want to serve our country, there's various things. Or if they're struggling to finish the traditional method, right? We have HiSEP programs to support our kids in getting that level of degree, right? So partners like My Turn, right? Who are really great individuals who have classroom spaces in our high schools for those students who need a different set of environments, right? We talk about investing in our schools. Like, we've had, 2 breaking ground ceremonies. We're adding additions to all of our middle schools. We've transitioned all our 5th graders to the middle schools. We have a brand new Beach Street school coming in the works in Center City. Like, we're doing the work for sure. Like, tons of it. So I feel like I see it personally where I live. Everyone's trying to buy my house. Everyone's coming in because they see the wave of like, all right, like the school board, but most important,
Manchester in general is turning. Right?
Hell yeah.
To a better city.
Yeah, businesses, schools.
Very actively moving.
It all goes hand in hand. You know what I mean? Yeah. Right? Like, so you're seeing it.
Yeah.
So we just got to make sure that we're consistent and ensuring that we're, you know, investing in our public education, in our infrastructures, right? Ensuring infrastructures, supporting our teachers, ensuring they're getting adequate pay, ensuring that our food service workers are getting paid and recognized, right? Because it all comes together at the end of the day. So I see it, bro.
As you were talking to, I kind of thought about, you know, all the things that Manchester can offer because it is so large. Where, you know, the school I live in, Bow, there's things we don't have just because there'd be one kid using it. You know, so you have MST, the technical school. My wife went through the cosmetology program there. Works as a hairdresser for like a decade. She became a manager of a Supercuts location, and like people scoff at Supercuts, but she learned a lot through that. Now she owns her own business doing permanent makeup in an adjacent industry, and she doesn't do hair anymore. But you know, all that experience, you can go right back to MSC. And she, you know, her mom was a single mom. They didn't have a lot. Nobody's paying for her to go to college. Right. You know, and having MST, that covered like half of her cosmetology training, like, or even more before she went into, had to actually go to the after high school training, whatever you call it, to finally get the licenses and whatever. But, you know, you can look back on that. It's like Adam Sandler came out of that school. Look what he's done. Right. You know, so, you know, you can't just go, oh, it shows up as a 3 out of 10 on niche.com. It's a bad school.
I think we got to like visit our schools. You know what I mean? Like, schedule those meetings with, you know, our community partners. Like, you know, Manchester Proud holds a lot of the partnerships that we have in the school district. So like, what can we do? How can we be more proximate to the amazing programmings and partners and the work that the school district's doing? You know, you think of the Leader in Me program, where 4th graders achieve this level of skill set, but they have to complete this program, and then Queen City Bike Collective comes through and gives them a bike. Wow. But they got to earn it, right? They got to earn it. But like, you think of the various partners and corporations that are doing the work because they see it. I'm like, this could be my future employee. This could be the workforce that we need. These are the people we need to support to build a better Manchester. You know, I love that. I think so many people have, you know, I think it's a product of where we've gone as a society, but, you know, instant gratification and a lot of self-serving interests. And I think we forget that we're all interconnected like that. If the schools aren't doing good, then our businesses aren't going to do right. If, you know, and people are going to leave Manchester. And yeah, I mean, I think you're spot on. I love the way you think about it and talk about that. That's really cool. So you're serving on the school board. You're currently running for alderman. What is that? That in the fall, that election? Yeah. So I mean, you know, if there's a primary, it's September, I believe, and then the general election's in November. Okay. So transitioning. I mean, sounds like you're so passionate about the schools and you're doing good stuff for it. I've never heard a local like school board or alderman person like actually articulate things on the level that you've just done in this short time we've been. Like, I just always feel like they're just there. They're just a name. They're not like, you know, it's like, we do want to spend this money. We don't want to spend this money. It's very like, you know,
not well thought out thing. But anyway, transferring from that to Alderman, do you feel like that's going to give, I mean, obviously you're passionate about schools, but you're probably passionate about other things. Is the transition because you want to kind of continue to do the same work on a broader level, or is it because you think you can do more from that position for the schools? Is your motivation there?
So one thing that I was taught before, there's the OGs in Manchester, them, like leaders, business leaders, politicians. What they did tell me before was that, like, you are a school board member for Ward 5, but you're also a school board member for the whole city.
Yeah, for sure.
How are you leveraging that platform you have also to support people on other things? So I've been doing the work for sure. And I want, like you said, I want to do more of it in an official and broader level. But most importantly, you'll also support those department heads that are doing that work, right? Like I've spent some good time, working with Chief Marr at the Manchester Police Department. I've spent some time working with Tim Clardy at the Department of Public Works. Both of those, right, like are highly essential, right? Even working with, having conversations with Chief Cashing at the Manchester Fire Department and having personal friends who are in the fire department. I want to support these departments, but most importantly, how do I connect the services that they have to our community? And it goes back to, like, me being proximate, listening to our community members, speaking the language of certain members. And I'm like, you think about the tragedy that we faced the other day. This past month in June has been tough for Manchester in general, for Ward 5. But for me, I didn't publicize any of it because I was cognizant that I'm not just doing this because I'm running. I know that I have the connections to help this family, and I'm going to do it because it's my job. I have to. Like, you look at all the points that I have on my website, why I'm running, that means nothing. It's like about me showing up for them and leveraging those. How am I going to connect them so that they get justice for their daughter, so that they get their justice for their daughter that passed and the one that's recovering? You know what I mean? And connecting all of us together is like that. I'm like, people say I'm like the glue, right? But I don't want to take credit for any of it because, like, the people around me, they're like, Jason, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? I'm like, all right, let me figure this out. And I'm figuring this out with all of them because, like, again, it's not about the clout. None of it's about that. It's about ensuring that they get the support they need. And that's how I do. It's passion, it's heart, but also remembering where I came from, never forgetting what I went through and what brings you and me and everybody in this city and the state together. And, never forgetting my humble beginnings.
Where did you come from?
So I came from Cambridge.
Skip that.
Yeah.
Right over that basic stuff.
So I was born and raised in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And, my mom immigrated to this country from El Salvador. So, the minute you pick a separate, the English language, and for all my homies that get it, right, like, the minute you speak English, you're an instant interpreter, no matter what age you are. So, like,
right. I've talked to other children of immigrants that end up being their parents' interpreter and bookkeeper.
Oh my God.
Doing all the paperwork.
It's crazy. Yeah. So, but we were fortunate enough though, like, Cambridge Public School is wild, right? Like, but we're getting there. And why I'm telling you that is because it was bilingual. Like, half of the day I was learning Spanish, half of the day I was learning English. And that's how I learned it. But it brought everybody, no matter what color, together. And it gave my mom an opportunity to understand what I was going through in school. Because we talk about transparency with families. Of course, all of our families, want to know what's going on in their kids. And sometimes you hear them like, they don't want to know. They don't care. I'm like, no, they want to.
Yeah, I think every parent would love to know.
Right? Right.
What's going on. And you got to let go. You got to let them. That's part of going to school.
Right.
Being separated from you. But yeah.
Right. So, like, it's, that's where I grew up. I had, an older brother, and then eventually we moved to Revere, Massachusetts. And the Revere Public Schools was tough because all those services that gave access to my mom were minimal. So, it was just a different vibe. And I just had to, one, like, understand a new community, but also it was fairly diverse as well. When I got to high school, it was tough. Like, high school was rough for me.
Still in Revere.
Still in Revere, Mass. And, I was in honors before, and then I dropped it all because I gave this peer pressure, man. Like, when you're smart, when you're, like, actually paying attention in classroom, and kids like, you just, like, you're dumb. Like, why are you just focusing on school? I'm like, but I was like.
Do you feel like, I noticed this, like, I don't know, my daughter's still pretty young, but just any kids, I feel like that whole stigma of getting an education and doing well is kind of leaving these kids. Like, these young, like, I guess it seemed that the being the troublemaker or being the bad kid is the cool thing anymore. Are you seeing, you know way more than I do. I feel like that's kind of faded a little bit.
It has in pockets, right? Like, because how do you achieve success while being yourself? So like not letting go, like, stereotypically in movies, you always see the folks who are like highest of the class, tucked in polos, all of it, blah, blah, blah.
The preps.
Yeah. But that's not how everybody looks, right? Like someone could be in like scrubs and like be unhoused or not have a family, but they're the top of their class. But no one, like I feel like, and those who are like acting out, they're just crying for help. Yeah, they want you to like actually pay attention. Like I'm struggling. They're like, I see that like with our kids. I'm like, I see you. Yeah. I see through you. And a lot of that came through my like years of service to AmeriCorps, through City Year. Like I know what they're doing. Like as much as like, I can't take it personal. They're like jabbing at me. They're jabbing at me. Like the students, like I'm one of the most creative rashes that like, like they can come up with the wildest things to get to your head. And that's genius. I mean, like those are skills. Yeah, because they'll get to
apply. My dad just said this the other day. He was talking about, and I just talked about my dad, the last guest that was here just 20 minutes ago. But my dad like was just talking about like, and he's an old school bad guy. And he was like, if drug dealers took all the effort that they put into dealing drugs and put it into any other business, they'd be doing great at those businesses too. Because you don't even have to be a secret when it's legal, right?
The skill set, right? Like just reapplying those. But yeah, man, like Revere, Cambridge, Revere, and then I did years of service because, look, I grew up in an area where I thought my zip code predetermined everything. I was struggling. I couldn't find a way out, but then mentorship came in. People that believed in me, they were like, look, you were born in this country, you speak 2 languages, you got something going on, man. Like, come on. You finished high school. But, I gave in. I went in and I did housekeeping for years. I was cleaning trains. I was working in a sanitation factory. I was working at Advanced Auto Parts. I worked at Domino's. Like, I did every stereotypical job you can think of that a Latino will do.
You said it, not me.
Yeah. But I'm saying, you know what I mean? I did it. And then an opportunity came. I'm like, hey, look, you can work in public schools, do 2 years service, and support students in their public education. And everything else has been a wrap from there. Like never forgetting where I came from. Everything that my mom taught me as a single mother raising 2 kids. And she ended up buying a good amount of homes on her own, right? Talking about equity, buying 3 families, it's tough. Yeah. Lot of management there, but yeah. Here we are, man.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to see when somebody takes advantage of everything that they can. It's like, you see people immigrate here and not do well, right? And it's like, I don't know where I'm going exactly with this, but it's like, I just love those stories of that. Like, it's like, hey, you came here for a purpose, better life, and you got it. That's awesome. And you made a better life for your children. That's so amazing. I wish, it's too bad right now that's, it's so frowned upon, but I don't want to get too deep on that.
Yeah, let's never forget where we come from. You know what I mean? And like, we're going to keep on doing it.
Yeah. You said equity. I was trying to hold that in my head and I lost it right at the last second. Equity, because this is something I saw you mention in one of the videos that you had posted was equality versus equity. And honestly, I never figured out what the actual difference is, what you were trying to say there. So I was wondering if you could put that into some simpler words. Talk to me like I'm 5.
I'm a big visual guy, right? So when you talk about equality, right, you're giving everybody the same thing. So you think of like these, the old images, we're all watching a baseball game from a fence and we're all on the same height of the crates, no matter what size and our ability. There's folks who, we all have a crate, but some of us still can't see through the fence to watch the baseball game. So when we talk about equity, we're just giving people what they need based on their ability, based on like their income. You think of several factors. When we hear the word equity, oh man, people are like, it's black and brown only. I'm like, no, like it's about everybody. Yeah. Everybody, because
take 100 white kids and find 96 different learning styles or
income levels or like, Manchester, we struggle.
It's everybody.
We struggle with addiction in our families and our homes. It impacts us all. Yeah. We talk about ADA compliant sidewalks. Like folks who are in wheelchairs, how are they going to get somewhere to point A to point B? Equity.
Yeah.
So that's it. You know, like I think that I'll show you some images after, but overall, like that's all I'm trying to say.
No, I 100%, it makes sense now for sure. And yeah, I get it. And I remember growing up when people used to talk about that, and it is always linked back to minority groups or other sorts of marginalized, stereotypically marginalized people. And what people would always say against it was like, well, we're not giving them special rights. Why would we give them special rights?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, because everybody's, when it comes down to it, everybody is special. You, me, and Nick all have different, abilities and different things, different backgrounds and different support systems. It makes 100%. You gotta
challenges,
meet these kids where they are. Otherwise, you give 50 different kids the same tool, they're all going to do different things with them.
Right.
I'm going to jump in real quick, and just because this will make a good clip for, especially for New Hampshire. But like, do you want to touch on how that, like the EFA program and how that's like sort of the equity versus equality thing?
You talk about the vouchers?
Yeah.
I mean, look.
Or you not want to do it?
No. I mean, like when I think it's like, there are people who genuinely do need some sort of like funding to bring their children to where they need to bring their children, because their schools can't do it all with the capacity.
So you guys, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. So like
you're talking about
this is really big right now in New Hampshire politics.
So there's school vouchers right now.
I don't turn on the news anymore, so I'm the worst person to bring a politician on.
No.
So, but back
down to bring up EFAs, and they're like, there's no way to do this.
Yo, no, let's do it. I mean, we don't.
No, break it right down.
All right. So first of all,
I mean, we got all the time in the world.
I mean, first of all, most people think like, one, I'm gonna set this straight. Me and my wife don't have kids, but we love our schools, and we know all these children are all children as well. So like, we don't have kids. We did, unfortunately, like, she had a miscarriage this past year or last year, but no, we don't have kids. So when we talk about vouchers,
I think you're the perfect person. Not having kids is the perfect person to represent these issues, because it's never going to be self-serving.
Right. It's not.
Yeah.
When we talk about these vouchers, right? So like the state provides you with like a dollar amount of voucher to take it with you to go to like a non-public school. So you think of private and other non-public schools, because you genuinely need it, right? So if your child has like, let's say autism, right? There are limited classrooms that we have, right? Or maybe you have specified needs that you feel like the school's not meeting it. And we do work our best, right? Our team and the school district are working hand on hand, ensuring that our families get the support they need. But if the families still aren't feeling like they're getting that, well then, okay, cool. You do what you got to do to get your kid to where you need them to be. But not everyone has that opportunity, right? Like, you need money, right, to go to a non-public school, to send your child to a specified school that, specifies an autism. But now there's like conversation like, let's get rid of the income caps, because there was an income cap to get the voucher. So you're telling me that someone that's making what, 500K is like, let me just take that voucher because that's free money. But I'm like, then that just takes away from the pot of money that we're giving to our public schools. So again, I'm not like, we all work.
Well, also, if everybody's taking their kids out of public schools, that changes the dynamic and landscape of it, right?
It messes up our formula. Like, I mean, again, it impacts us deeply, right? But again, it's not just about, we talking about equity. I'm like, you really need that 5K? You really want that 5K if you're making $500,000, or what you're making? Man, imagine you're making like what? $100,000 a month. You really need that?
One of the things that my wife and I talked about before we moved out of Manchester was staying in Manchester, because we triple our bills to move out to Bow.
We'd love to have you back. Not free. I want.
Well, no, I would have to double them to get back to Manchester. Right before the rates went up.
And y'all doing good. Y'all doing good work.
But it's I don't control the prices. But we talked about going to keeping our private school. But where we lived, I went for a walk in our neighborhood one day, and I stumbled upon like grown women fighting middle school kids. And I was just like, this neighborhood, even if she goes to private school, she's still coming back and hanging out on these streets. But I look at it too, like, I'm like, she's also not experiencing any diversity. I'm zero. Right. Like, Bo is 99.9% white, I would guess. I don't know what the actual stats are.
I've gone to the high school there. It's crazy. It's nice.
It's very nice. But it's like, I'm like, also, like, am I one day she's going to have to face reality, and she's going to, I grew up in very rural Maine. But I moved out of my parents' house as soon as I graduated. And I mean, I ended up playing punk rock bands, touring the country. It's like, I was learning some hard life lessons, like while I'm in the hood of Baltimore, because punk rock bands don't get to play the nice venues on their first tour. No, play the worst. I've seen shows between a couple alleys in, the Puerto Rican area of Brooklyn, stuff like that, where it's like, nobody wants me here, but you do find out, that's the feeling, right? Yeah. You do find out once you travel and once you go, people are people.
Yeah, they want you there. They were like,
"You're cool."
I'm like, why are you not? Why you've never been here before? They'll be like, why haven't you never But
the perception for me growing up was these are dangerous, scary places to go.
I think that it goes both ways with us though too.
Oh, it's probably worse.
You know what I mean? Coming to Manchester, I'm like, that was tough, bro.
Yeah.
I came from Revere, it's Cambodian, Haitian.
Just also the most diverse place in New Hampshire.
Yes, so it's like,
outside of Manchester, it's even more of a shock.
And when I came here in 2017, let me just tell you, so not having a bachelor's degree, getting a 9-to-5 career was the toughest thing in the world. But, City or Inc. opened the opportunity for me to come here. So I'm like, I'm going to finally be able to leave these 4 walls and be able to meet people remotely before COVID. And just make my own schedule. Holy shit. I was like, this is the dream. And when I came here, I was like, wait, where do I get my haircut? Where do I go eat my food? I didn't know.
Stanley's Barbershop.
I didn't know.
My best friend, Johnny Oates.
Oh, okay.
Stanley, so.
Oh, where's Stanley?
One of my best friends. Stanley's north at Webster Street. It's like one of the oldest. I may be the oldest still operating barbershop. It's been multiple owners, but Johnny bought it a few years back.
I'm gonna check it out. I go to Eddie's barbershop.
Okay, yeah, I don't know Eddie's, but Johnny. My wife, like I said, was a hairdresser.
Oh,
so for years and years, she cut my hair.
That's what's up.
Because I
fades and everything.
Oh yeah, she's.
Oh,
all of my friends that a mid skin fade would say for a hairdresser, she's the number one hairdresser. They still would want to go to a barber, say the straight razor.
Yeah.
But they're like, that's the best a hairdresser can ever do. She is the best.
Oh.
So I used to just shave my head.
Yeah.
She forced me into having a nice haircut and then told me, I'm not cutting your hair anymore because I don't want to do it at home anymore. Our light sucks. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
So now I am stuck having to go give Johnny my money, but I'm happy to do it because he's a good friend and it's a fun shop to go into. It's real small, 3 chairs and everybody just shoots the shit. It's a good time. It's a good place to go.
No, but going back to your perceptions, it goes both ways from us, me, I don't know if they're going to like me, the first time I was knocking on doors for my campaign, I'm like, how are they going to perceive me knocking on the door?
We're knocking in 2020. I mean, just do it. It's nuts.
I saw that. I was like, wait, why didn't you come here early? I'm like, oh, damn. We love what you're saying. I'm like, oh, people are listening. I'm like, there's this thing. I don't know. People really actually watch these meetings. They really do. Our community does because they're invested. People who are retired, people who don't even have kids in the school district watch all of our meetings. BMA.
I mean, no matter what, it affects everybody's tax dollars.
Exactly.
Everybody's.
You got to watch.
Biggest line items in the budget for any town.
Yeah. So, for me, those perceptions, I know, once you break through, I'm like, all right, let me just be here, do my thing, let go of everything I thought I knew, and embrace people for their humanity.
Hey, that's just perfect.
Right.
I'm like how to treat everything.
Right. And I'll recognize that there's places, acknowledge their cultures, acknowledge who you are as an individual, what you value. And I won't try to change you, but I will have that conversation with you up front.
Yeah, I think there's too much of hey, you're wrong, so you're evil, or I don't like you because I don't agree. Too much of that, unless if we just really just talked about things and listened to each other. You don't have to change your mind, but I think slowly over time, and this has happened to me, I can tell you for sure, I was a big asshole on the internet for years and just would argue about anything with anybody.
On Facebook?
I mean,
no.
Take it back to MySpace. Take it back to just message boards, internet relay chat. I was
Keyboard warrior.
I just loved to argue, and I always felt I was right. But I'll tell you, having all those debates over the years, did eventually move me to different positions and different thoughts and opinions on things through having those very slowly. I didn't like hear somebody say so, or read somebody saying something and go, oh, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But over time, it's like you hear it enough times. You hear it explained enough different ways. You see the majority is heading that way, and it's not always right to go with the majority. But, you know, you just, and I think if we all did that, where all of our consciousnesses would just slowly morph into what the right answer is.
Right.
It would just be a little bit more collective. But, you know, you say things like that and people start thinking, you know, you're talking about communism or some People's Temple, Jim Jones shit where we all drink the Kool-Aid at the end, you know, like, but I think having the conversations and like you said, just accepting people for who they are, don't try to change them, and just,
it's like having those conversations.
I mean, there are evil people, but for the most part, there's good in everyone.
Yeah.
Even people that have opinions that you think are absolutely abhorrent, that are ruining the world, they usually have those from a place of they think they're doing the right thing, right? You know, so if you can just get them to realize the right thing is something else,
right,
without attacking them, then you're going to make progress.
Having that genuine cup of coffee.
We circled so far off, bro. Never finished the voucher thing. I don't think you ever got through that full explanation. I don't know what the controversy is or what the debate.
I mean, so we keep expanding it. Yeah. We keep opening it. We keep diverting more funds from like public education to expand them. Because like, where's all that money going to come from to expand the program? So again, I know several people also who utilize them because they do have to use them though.
Yeah.
But I think it's a tough balance because like also like, how do we also divert our funds though and center our public schools? How do we improve our special education programs? How do we improve our building infrastructures and pay our staff more so that we can keep them here more? How do we expand those programs as well? How do we expand our social workers? Right? Like we need more of those to support our kids because teachers aren't social workers.
Yeah.
So I feel like,
and especially in central Manchester, you have lots of families and there's no support. I mean, they're barely.
It's tough, right?
Getting by.
So for me, it's like, you know, when you hear conversations about like, hey, we're gonna get rid of these income caps, we're gonna build these programs, vouchers. Public schools aren't doing anything. It goes hand in hand, right?
Weaken the public schools,
right. So like, let's also like acknowledge the amazing accomplishments that the Manchester School District has done. Because when we lead, we're the biggest school district in the state of New Hampshire. So whatever we do,
biggest city north of Boston,
biggest city, it usually like creates sort of like an area where like if they did it, we got to do it. But there's also a high level of expectation on how we're supporting all of our kids and especially our teachers. So I feel like
you could not pay me enough. I mean, $1 million a year, I think, would still not be enough for me to be responsible for 20 children at once every day.
No, man, it's tough.
It's
tough.
I remember going into my kid's daycare when she was younger, and I would walk in there and see, I mean, these women are getting paid terribly. And I know how much it's costing me to pay for the childcare. And I know they're still not making what they should be making, like on that level of responsibility. And stress and everything else that comes with getting sick all the time because young kids get sick all the time. And I just looked at it and I was like, I could never, ever. And then we have people out there is like, you know, complaining about hey, we're paying them too much. They only work 9 months a year or something stupid like that. It's like, okay.
But I know so many of these teachers too, like personal friends that like graduated from programs like City Air to like they never came from New Hampshire and they stayed because they love this community. They love their kids. So again, these vouchers again are just like a big bash on like, public schools, let's get rid of them. Let's like privatize public education. You know, you're hearing all these things and I'm like, but like, are you really proximate? Are you really stepping into the classrooms and opening, like going in with an open mind? Are you really taking that time to visit them? Like, see the amazing work, because not everyone has that opportunity. And for those who do have the opportunity to take their kids to a private school or a non-public school, do it. It's like, I'm never going to judge a family on what they think is best for their kids. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You know, like, I feel like once me and my wife have our kids, like, we're both committed to having our kid in public education. But, like, people got to do what's best for their kids. And, again, if they need those resources, yes, like they are available, but like to create this whole narrative has been wild. And again, I mean, come on, like the income cap stuff is just throwing me off, man.
Yeah, that doesn't really make any sense. Like you said,
The that's arising is sorry. I fucking
Do it up, bro. Please, please.
Nick recently ran for position in Derry. I forget what.
Nick, do you mind? Do you mind giving? How do we get you on? Like, can you say your?
I've been trying to get him to just have a mic, but
Pull up.
You can actually hear him pretty well when he does interviews like this.
So Nick, please, and also add on to the conversation.
So the problem is with basically the voucher program allows any parent to say, I don't want my child going to this public school. I want them going to this school. And the state has to then give them a check.
Yep.
Essentially a blank check. That is, okay, here's this money. Your child's not going to go to public school. You're now in charge of their education with no oversight. So this is basically homeschools, charter schools, private schools, religious private schools is where what they found is when they instituted the program is that 87% of the parents who are taking money from the public school system now already had their children in private school. So they raised
So they had the means to do it anyway.
Exactly. They eliminated the tax cap, and now this program, because income, they eliminated the income cap, and what they found is not that more underprivileged kids were using the program. They found that it's just people who are already very wealthy take the money.
Okay.
So,
I mean, you guys have won me, bro. On a subject I knew this.
But we need that. Like, we need to show these reports. I'm like, look, who's this actually serving?
and what they're also finding is that there is no oversight. The guy who was in charge of the commission, there's no oversight, and he was not allowing them to be audited. And so what they were finding was when they did start looking at the numbers was that like people were using this for ski trips. We're using this money for whatever. It's like a homeschool
As well.
parent who was.
We should get Elon on it.
Yo, what's up, bro?
But it's just like it's this whole thing, and I really sabotage you, but not.
No,
That's fine.
No, like for me, like I gave.
It's a very interesting. It's a very interesting thing, and I don't think people will find what both of you are saying as controversial. I know. I don't see that as controversial at all.
I mean, like, at the end of the day, I'm all about giving people what they need. I'm like, is that a want, or like, how are we supporting the families who actually really need?
Right.
Like, who can't, aren't receiving the support.
Yeah, when I considered sending my daughter to private school, I figured I was paying for it. But like I said, I tripled my bills to move her to where she could go to a different school. So I was like, that amount of money is probably about what I would pay for a private school. So I would never expect anybody else to be. I do well. I didn't need the money. I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't. There would be no reason for me to take it.
Yeah.
The instance that it made sense to me was just in the homeschooling section, because like if you're not utilizing the program, I've always looked at education as like the tax you pay to live in an educated society. Yeah. As like if you talk to dumb people, it fucking sucks. So like the more money we can spend on educated people, in my opinion, it works out better for everybody. I can understand why someone who was being homeschooled felt like they were getting cheated by having their taxes removed and then not getting to utilize it.
Yeah, but it's not like the option disappeared for them to just go to this school in their town.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know about homeschooling, and I don't want to. Again, I'm right with you. Do whatever you feel is right.
Whatever you family, like I can't tell you.
Who am I to judge? But also, I don't know about homeschooling, man. I think you need to get out into the world. And the thing, like a lot of people, and now people homeschool because you get that conversation of like indoctrination by the the liberals, and then it's the college educated teachers are teaching them values that they don't believe in or whatever. And I don't want to debate those values, but like. Good, like get exposed to other things. It's fine. Your kid can come home and you can tell them what you believe.
Right.
You can, but let them hear the other points of view. What the hell's wrong with that? If you're homeschooling because you don't want your kid to be indoctrinated, you're just indoctrinating your kid into your thing. It's the same thing. I don't follow that mindset. And again,
diversity of thought is crazy.
People should still do what they want. If you think homeschool is right for your kid, do it.
Yeah.
I'm not here to judge, but I just think that reasoning's a little backwards. I grew up with a kid I remember like his mom homeschooled him.
Yeah.
Never like, I'm like, what do you do for your homeschooling? And he's like, oh, my mom just like fills out some forms. Like, okay, but what are you learning? He's like, oh, no, I just play video games.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I'm not,
And like, I remember there was one year, like it was, he would go to school, like, I don't know. It was like he came to our school like in 3rd grade and then went back to homeschool. Like came in 5th grade, went back to homeschool. Then like, I think he went to high school at school. So it's like, it was like off and on. Like so it was very sporadic. But I remember one year, it's like my mom and his mom were friends. But I remember one year he's like, you should tell your mom you don't want to go to school this year. I was just like, dude, that's not how this works.
no, you gotta.
Like, what reality? Last I saw him was his mugshot. So,
Oh my God.
you know, I mean, I'm not going to say what it was, but
Yeah.
because I probably revealed enough that anybody that knows me probably figure out who I'm talking about. I don't want to say, if I want to say anymore, but yeah. I mean, I don't, again, circling all the way back. Yeah. Just make your own choices. But yeah, people who have the means to pay for it themselves shouldn't be away from poor kids in Manchester. That's
Or even like with our public schools, I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah.
I just don't get it.
I'm
Like,
right with you guys, and that's the most political thing I've ever said publicly in
there you
the
go.
last few years. So
Here you go.
I've been getting a little bit more. I put it away when I started real estate. I kind of just said I can't be doing that anymore because the way we're so far divided in this country that like by being political, you're like instantly alienating half of your potential clients. So in the beginning of my real estate career, I just was like, I can't be doing that stuff publicly anymore. Lately, I've kind of been like, okay, there's some things worth speaking up about.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight people over stuff anymore, but it's like, I think we can objectively say certain things are wrong.
Yeah.
Without, and back to the point of like, talk to everybody. You don't have to agree. You don't have to, you can
You'll
you
find
don't have to have hatred over it.
No, you'll walk away and be like, all right, cool. I'll see you later. Like, see you later playing dominoes. I'm like, word.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not? Like, or like you'll find opportunities of like areas in common ground.
Yeah.
But it's at least that we're having these discussions with each other. Cause look, back when you did your keyboard stuff, the authentic in-person conversations is what makes everything so much better. Cause like, I don't know, I'm watching you as well. Like, the way I learned English, body language. So I'm watching everything. That's how that's how I get people's aura and, vibes. So, we're doing great, so like.
I had a friend of mine from Montreal told me he learned English by watching The Simpsons. Well, and was that he learned English? Yeah. Pretty crazy. His English was great. Yeah. It was, he was, every once in a while, he'd say something. I'm like, what's this word? He'd say it over and over again. Then he'd have to like explain it in a different way. I'm like, oh, it's actually this pronunciation. Yeah. But for the most part, it's like, you never knew the difference. He's like, yeah, just watch The Simpsons. That's all it took. So what you have a day job still? Are you, doing stuff with the city, your full-time gig? What do you?
Yeah. So I run a leadership program and supporting, leadership program and connecting them to like board opportunities in the state of New Hampshire, connecting them to mentors. So before that, I worked for City Year as a recruiter, but I work from home.
And honestly, I don't know much about City Year, right? See, this is red jacket people you see all over the place, right?
Yeah.
What exactly does City Year do?
So it's a federally funded program through AmeriCorps. So basically what you do is you sign up for a year of service if you're from like 17 to 25. And you're like committed to supporting our kids in 28 of the locations in the country. And for me, I did it because I was like, I need discipline. I need discipline in my life. I need to figure out what I want to do. And I have these skills. How can I help kids that struggle just like me? And, so they are there from the beginning of the day, before the kids get in the classroom, cheering them on in the morning, singing songs. So I was singing songs every morning, wearing a red jacket, khaki pants, so this was a uniform before, and Timberland boots. And I was cheering them on.
I see why these kids are picking on you. It's some tough central hike. It's like, I can just picture it.
You're cheering them. We were cheering these students on. So like, at the end of the day, you're working with them hand in hand on like, hey, why didn't you come to school today? Like, I noticed that you were off when you were talking to Jeremiah. Like, something's off. Like, help me understand. But you're working in collaboration with the teacher. So you're not a full-time teacher. You're a student success coach. And, working them on, like, catching students who are behind on, like, attendance, behavior, coursework, like, math and ELA. simple things like that, but it's like about building those connections. Like if you can remember, there was probably students that you can think of like that felt like they weren't a part of the classroom. But imagine if we had more support, more mentors in the classroom that could just guide them like here.
Yeah, I don't remember any. I mean, I was one, I said I was a good student. Yeah. Once I hit high school, I stopped caring. And I think I was getting to this point, we went another direction, but I got kind of just bored. Like school was too easy, like for always, and it was like, and it was too easy for a bit. And then it hit like, pre-calculus junior year. And I was like, oh, I've been coasting for so long. I don't know. I can't do this.
Oh, whoa.
And then I was like, well, I guess in my time, we only needed 2 math credits to graduate high school. So I just didn't take another math class. Yeah. I had taken algebra 2 freshman, because I did my high school geometry and algebra in middle school. And then I did algebra 2 freshman year. And then they had this like trigonometry. It was called FST, functions, statistics, and trigonometry.
Wow.
That was my sophomore year. Then I went into pre-calc for junior year, and immediately I was like, oh, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Same thing happened to me in Spanish class. I took Spanish 1, Spanish 2, and just coasted. Spanish 3 was fully in Spanish. Wow. I walked into the classroom, and the teacher just started speaking to us in Spanish, and I was like, I don't know what she's saying.
No, I don't.
All the kids, yeah, exactly. All the kids were like, yeah, I remember it was escucha me, something like,
listen to me.
And I'm like, I am listening. Yeah. I don't know what you're saying.
Oh, dang.
It remember when it's actually kind of terrible, but Rob Schneider played Adam Sandler's, Billy Madison's gardener, his Hispanic gardener.
Oh, I think I remember this.
A Jewish white guy. Yeah. But he's like, but Billy Madison goes back to school, and he's got to learn, and Rob Schneider's character is helping him study, and he's rambling in Spanish really fast, and Adam just keeps going, slow down, and that was me in the Spanish class. Like, I have no clue what this lady is saying. Yeah. And it's because like I was able to just fudge my way by with B's pretty easily. Yeah. And I was so disinterested that I just got by. Yeah. But then I hit these harder, and then I just checked out. Midterm, I dropped out of Spanish class, and I just started taking like I had like 4 art electives my junior year. The graduation requirements we didn't have a language requirement. I think they do have a foreign language requirement now, right? Or no?
I believe so.
Yeah. And then like with only the 2 math credits, and like I think you only did 2 science credits. So it's like I started taking like the most remedial classes, and I remember, teachers, it's like, why are you doing this? You were so smart. I'm like, yeah, I'm not anymore. I just hit a wall because I stopped caring. And then the stuff did get too hard where you still had to apply yourself. I remember taking that pre-calc I went through that whole year of pre-calculus, and I was you could get out of the final if you had an A grade going into the final and a certain attendance record, you could not take the final. You just got counted as a 100 for the final. I was the only student, because by that point, everyone's still in pre-calc. These were all the kids that were going to the big 4-year universities and stuff. And I was the only kid who had to take the final. And I go in there, and my teacher was like, well, to pass the class, you need to get every single question right.
That's wild.
He's like, basically the way it was like 10% of my grade. He's like, a 0 will get you a 60, or 70 was passing. He's like, so it's 10 the test was worth 10 points, and I was at a 60 with a 0. So he's like, you need a perfect, to get your 70, you need a perfect score. It's like, good luck. I'm like, it's never happening. Even the best students weren't getting a 100 on a pre-calculus final. Like, that would be insane. But I got a 60. I ended up with a 66. I remember that. But yeah, your goal goes back to that whole point of like, you need to meet the kids where they are.
And that's what I would have done. I would have checked up on you. I'm like, what's up?
But what I was saying is, I don't remember there was anybody. Yeah. It's like, I remember lots of friends, same way, a good friend of mine, he he ended up going to summer school and finishing, but he didn't get to graduate with us because he failing grade in English. He just didn't turn into I remember English senior year, there was this big senior project you had to do for English. He just like didn't do it.
No.
And the teacher had told them that if you don't do this, if you half-ass this, you will not graduate high school. I guarantee I will not let you graduate high school if you don't take this seriously. He like just didn't even do it.
Damn.
And failed. I remember he'd be mad at the teacher. I'm like, dude, he did do it. But yeah, he graduated. He's fine now. He's doing well. But it's like, you know, there was nobody. I remember he was like a kind of a goth kid. Like I remember I
had my face.
I remember him painting his whole room black when he was a kid. His basement bedroom, his house, and you know, it was like there was just nobody. I think his parents had divorced, and you know, him went through that.
Yeah. There's external factors that play into like why our kids, you know, sometimes certain things happen, right?
Yeah.
For me, you know, like I wasn't involved in extracurriculars. I never joined a club. I only went to school and went home. I had to watch over my younger siblings. I never went to any rallies or no schools. I didn't know the amazing support systems that were there.
Yeah.
But like now I take that and like I show our kids, I'm like, get engaged. Like join these programs.
For me, is sports. I just wasn't like a gifted natural athlete. I can apply myself and do well at things, but it's like I just wasn't as good as everybody else. And baseball was my thing.
Same.
And we're enforcing stereotypes even more.
I know, but look, I didn't play soccer. So look, we are Salvadorian family that didn't play soccer. And my mom,
no wonder you had to leave.
Yo, trust.
But yeah, freshman year. Like I remember they took the JV team, they took every freshman because basically we had like a 20 kid roster for a high school team that's only playing 3 days a week. So if you were at the bottom of that roster, you were getting nothing for playing time. Damn. And then I broke my ankle playing softball in gym class. And yeah. And I never played again. I came from where I grew up too. We didn't have a high school. So I was from a smaller town with the smaller sports program. We didn't have regular Little League. We were in like a different organization. And like, so instantly all these kids from the bigger town I had to go to for high school were better athletes and more experience and better training and all this. So it was already fighting from the bottom. And then I got benched and then I had that injury and it was just like, I just never played again. And that was another big part of why I stopped caring about school, because like, sports was a reason.
Yeah.
And then I ended up doing indoor track for a couple of years there. I cannot run.
Yeah.
I did shot put. I wasn't even that good at that, surprisingly, but I just did it because it was a walk on. Anybody could, but my passion was gone. It was just something to do. I was passionate about baseball as a real young kid. I mean, I went to a baseball camp where when I was like 7 years old, they said 100 swings a day. You got to swing. And I did it. I was like a 7-year-old kid out in the backyard, just swinging my bat, hitting off a tee. Yeah. Like I was very passionate about it. And then I lost that. I was like, okay, well.
So that's exactly what I'm talking about.
There. Yeah.
You remember.
Nobody was there.
You remember. And then like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, those things. Yeah. Those separate aspects of community for you is what we try to offer to our students in the Manchester School District.
Yeah.
Even if we may not offer it, all of it, community partners, sport organizations, you know what I mean? We connect them to the tons of nonprofits that offer those services.
Now, offering it is one thing. Having it available is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see enough people taking advantage of what is offered? And what goes immediately to my mind is in real estate, like,
yes, I know.
One of the big things that all the brokerages that try to get us to recruit us do is like, we have this, and this. And agents I know, when they're struggling, they'll jump ship because they'll be like, oh, they have this, they have this, they have this. I go, are you going to use it? Because if you don't use it, it's worthless.
Yeah, it's just there. You know what I mean? It's just there. It's like,
I guess it's a two-part is like, are people using it? And if they aren't, why? Is there enough outreach for people to know that these things are there for them to utilize? And obviously City here, that's in their face. It's at school, but like are people taking advantage of what's out there? And do they need to be shown it better. Is that an issue?
I believe we're doing it, and there's always ways of improving anything in the world.
Of course.
In general, there's always like, how can I do it better? So Manchester Proud, like I mentioned, they're like this catalyst for like all external organizations, community partners. You think about nonprofits, everything, because we recognize that we're all working with the same kids, right? You know what I mean? Or they're nonprofits that are in the city. So they had an event at Beach Street School. You know, that's the school I represent, spring into summer. So I think it was like in April, they had like this they opened up the whole gymnasium and all the programs were there, you know, thinking for like a career fair or I don't know, like an expo, but they were there signing kids up, telling the families, like, we have these programs that are free and we'll take your information down. And we provided bilingual liaisons. Those are our individuals in our school district that could support our families if they had any challenges with language access. They were there presently supporting and interpreting real time with her families to ensure that everyone had an opportunity of signing up for free programs in the city and getting to meet the executive directors, getting to understand like, hey, I've heard of this program, but I've never gone. I just have never had the time. Yeah. But then they go into these like authentic conversations and then you build those partnerships. That's how we recruited families for the Central Little League that I'm one of the coaches there. So we do T-ball and we're like, hey, we're a sandlot league, those like literally the sandlot. Teaching our kids how to play baseball, T-ball, you name it. But opportunities like that, if we as we continue to build upon those, it will be better. It will be better because we're meeting each other. It's not just like an info session. It's like you have all of these organizations concentrated in one place and, you know, offering them these services and helping them understand and how to sign up. Because, you know, like you said, I can offer everything, but how do I also help you do it?
I feel like too, so many things and this isn't particularly related to school or government at all, but so many things in this world now, it's like, it should be, technology should make it easier
right
to access things, but it's not, because it's like everything you do is like a 40 field form online to fill out, where it's like, I remember the way I started playing T-ball, my parents were not into sports growing up, but I mean, they're still not. My dad likes to go to a baseball game, but he doesn't know a lot about it.
Yeah,
you know,
fishing hats, yo.
And we were Sea Dogs. I grew up in Maine, so
okay.
I'm actually next week seeing Fisher Cats versus Sea Dogs, and I'm gonna have to root for the Sea Dogs.
Oh, we're going for Fisher Cats, bro.
I don't want any of that Blue Jays trash.
Nah,
that was Eastern Division rivals or whatever. But anyway, but we went to a school art show. It was in kindergarten. We went and we had gotten a flyer and, you know, sent home with me for a school art show. And my parents were like, oh, let's go check it out. And we lived like a couple miles from the school. And after we walked out, there was Little League or T-ball going on the baseball field next to school. And we walked over and we were watching, and one of the coaches came over. Wish I remembered his name, because this dude, I mean, honestly, it was such a little moment that changed my life. But he came over, saw me, and said to my dad, he goes, so you want to play? And my dad was like, you want to play? Like, yeah. Brought me right onto the field. You're not going to see that. It's like, you got to sign the waiver first. Like, you don't see that now. But he brought me right out of the field, and I was on the T-ball team from there on out. I played baseball till, again, high school. And I remember the first time I hit, I didn't know, I never even watched a baseball game. I mean, I'm actually, now let me take that back. I probably did, because I remember I had baseball cards. My grandfather was way into baseball. But anyway, I didn't know what to do. So I hit the ball at the tee. The tee went further than the ball, and I ran with the bat all the way to second base. I remember the coach was running. I was just so hyper fixated. Yeah. The coach was running right next to me, going, put the bat down. Yeah. And I put the bat down. Yeah. I ran all the way to second base before I put it down. But again, going back to my point, it's like I see so many things are so much harder to access. The barrier to entry is, for whatever reason, higher. It just seems, I feel like signing my kid up for activities and keeping track of them and stuff, it's like a extra job I have, you know. And so last year we had her in dance, gymnastics, piano, and at one point during the winter, snowboarding lessons. So it was like all that stuff. It was like an extra job, and I'm like, every one of those things, and it's every session or semester is like another form and waiver to sign.
Yeah.
Just never stops.
So we're all about like building upon systems that coincide with the current systems we have in the school district, right? So I'm not a big believer. I'm like, oh, we're going to build this new link or this new, I'm like, no. Does it integrate with everything we have? How are we leveraging QR codes and how are we eliminating barriers for a family? Like you are all balancing so much. So how do we make it easier for you to keep track of what your children are doing? And how do we make it easily understandable as well? Because like I've been, again, talking about equity, like not everyone has the same level of education in Manchester School District. Not everyone's watching the meetings. But also, no matter what, everyone's balancing so much. So how do we make it easier to communicate with you? When we had our families graduate, or when our kids were graduating high school, real time, we were interpreting for families that couldn't speak English.
I heard there's something like, it was a ridiculous number I heard of how many, ridiculous is the wrong word. It's a big number of different languages spoken at Central High School. I want to say it was triple digit amount of languages.
Right. I was hearing last time I heard it was like over 80 dialects or over 60 dialects. So like we do some pretty amazing work with like the systems we have. You think of the city side, right? Running for Alderman, but Manchester Connects, right? The app that we utilize in the city, that is available for any individual who lives there, and like how to fix a pothole, street light, garbage mist, you name it. But like I could easily tell you like, yeah, just download the app. But it's about like, yes, the app is there, but how do I help you utilize it? How do I help you understand that you have to create an account? And that's what, like, when you talk about your field, we can have all this, but how do I help you use it? Yeah. How do I help you download it? How do I help you understand, like, this is how you take a photo. This is a geolocation that will attach to the photo, and then it'll alert the department so that you can get that pothole finally fixed in front of your business. And I've done that and utilized the languages that I have. One, right? Two. But like, regardless, those are the things that we have.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap it up. Where do people find you? What do you want them to know about you? Any final words, plugs?
Yeah. If you have questions about why I wear a hat, hit me up at bonilla4mht.com. It's always just a great conversation starter. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, but overall.
Yeah, a guy that grew up in I thought about the hat at the very beginning, but then we just got into so many things. But then you said you grew up in Cambridge and Revere. I'm like, I don't like hat. That's insane. But I'll let you, that can be the bait for why people.
Yeah, I wear all, at the end of the day, baseball is who I am. The baseball card is my lid as well. So I don't know if you saw that, like my big points, we're redefining the way you run as a candidate. So it's a baseball card with my face and why on the back of the baseball card are my 5 points. And I signed it in the front. QR codes to my webpage, QR code to my donation page.
I love it because my biggest qualm with local politics is I have no idea who the people are.
Right. You got to know who I am.
In Bo, I voted for a guy particularly, and I fully believe that I don't agree with anything, but I voted him for the sheer reason that I saw a Instagram ad with him talking on video, and I was like, finally, one of these people actually shows themselves.
Right.
And like actually has the balls to step up and say, this is what I believe in.
Yeah.
Like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hide behind the fact that nobody can have access to me.
Right. Access to everybody.
I love that. It was Bonilla for MHT.
The Bonilla, the number 4, MHT.com. Find me at Bonilla for MHT on Instagram, Jason Bonilla for Manchester on Facebook, and then Jason Bonilla in general on LinkedIn. So I'm like, we are everywhere.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, man.